Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. I'm Jamira and today we're going to talk about 5 things that I learned in high school. So number 5 was actually a thing I learned pretty early on in high school about that you have to be independent. And how I learned that is because in year 10 we had a couple of free periods where we had to do self-study. And so we didn't actually go through every single detail of the syllabus with our teachers, and we had to go that or do that by ourselves. And this kind of taught me that I have to study at my own pace, but have to study alone and independently in order to succeed with school as well. Now, a big thing about this is that you don't actually need it just in school or uni or at work, but you need it in life too. So, from that, I kind of developed planning skills. For example, I went on a trip with my boyfriend for a couple of days before we came here. We spent a couple of days in Cologne, and yeah, I had to plan the trip, or because my planning skills were a bit better. He's more spontaneous, I'm more a planning person. I planned the entire trip in a city that I don't know. I've never been to back then. So that was kind of independent work as well. So you don't really just need that in high school. The fourth point is that not everybody will like you in high school, and you don't get along with everyone, but that's okay. And you got to figure that out. And I did figure that out because there were a couple of people that I don't really get along. We just don't match. We have two different personalities, two different interests, whatever it might be, but it just doesn't match. And that's fine because I do have people in high school that I do like, but I don't have to have everyone that likes me and that I have to like. And that's actually not only just in high school as well, it's in real life too. I mean, there are people you don't like, there are people you do like, there are people you don't get along with for whatever reasons, and there are people you do get along with quite well. So don't really be so stressed about everybody has to like you, because that's not going to be the case anyway. Doesn't matter what you do. Number 3 for me is a very personal point, because I kind of figured out along my last 4 years in high school who I actually want to be when I'm done with school, where I want to go in the future, career wise, but also on personal levels. Because in high school, you have a couple of situations where you're stuck in it and you have to decide, do I go this way or that way? For example, we have a classmate of us, he's going through a really, really rough patch in his life, and there were people that made fun of that, and then there were people that supported him, and that was a situation where you had to decide. So what, it's kind of a millisecond decision, but what part am I going to take in this situation? And that actually, I learned a lot of empathy from those situations, and I learned what kind of morals I have and want to have. So I figured over the years more and more who I am and who I want to be. Point 2 is basically how to handle your stress. Now, I'm a very stressed out person, to be honest, and I had a couple of burnouts throughout my exams in the past few years. And so I had to learn how to handle stress pretty well, because I have this anxiety problem where when I have exams, it's like my mind is just blank. Like I can't focus, and I stress a lot, right? And so I had to figure out how to handle that, because I know that I can't just be like, okay, yeah, I'm stressed. Like, whatever, I'm not going to do anything because I'm stressed about it. No, I actually have this where I can't study for exams until like very last minute. Like right now, I have exams in 2 weeks, and I actually have not started studying, and it's my finals. But I don't feel stressed about it, because for me, I know it's gonna be enough time. These 2 weeks are gonna be enough for me, because that's what I learned throughout the years. I learned for myself that the sooner I start studying, the more I stress about it. And the later I start studying, the less I stress. I get the same results, the same grades. So why would I stress myself out to the point of an actual burnout? Um, a little story time here, because last year I had an actual burnout and I had a caffeine overdose. Now, this sounds weird, but a caffeine overdose basically is when you have, through a span of a week, a couple of days, too much caffeine for your body to break down, because caffeine is only broken down after 24, 48 hours, 100%. So if you drink a lot of coffee, and I had 4 or 5 coffees a day, each having 2 or 3 shots of espresso. So it was a lot of caffeine for my body. And at some point, I was shaking like this the entire time. I couldn't sleep. I was studying at 3 a.m. because I generally could not close my eyes. And that was a huge, huge problem. But I was also stressed about, hey, I'm sitting in the car, I'm not studying. I'm sleeping, I'm not studying. I was so stressed out, I couldn't enjoy my free time. And this is an issue. You gotta sit down with yourself and you gotta put your priorities straight. Obviously, your grades are important, but what is more important than your grades is your mind, that you're healthy, that you're feeling good. So now I have exams in 2 weeks. I'm taking naps in the day because I can and I want to, and I feel tired. So I'm taking a nap rather than having 2 coffees and going through that again. I learned from it. So sit down with yourself and try to look at what situations you had that you felt way too stressed in and what you could change about it, because that actually helps a lot. Point number one is a very, very personal point, because it's basically that I realized throughout the last 3 years that it's actually very important for me to spend time with my family. And this sounds pretty basic, pretty, yeah, like almost granted, but it's really not, because my mom and me, we had a really, really difficult relationship when I was a bit younger, and I'm very glad we got out of that. But over the years, I started to understand, hey, when I want to go out, I don't really want to ask a friend, because I don't know. Sometimes I just feel like going out with my mom, with my brother, or just sit down and watch a movie with my brother, or whatnot. Because I lost a couple of friends in high school to situations that it was just very unfair of them to behave the way they did. So I was kind of like, you know what? Friends shouldn't behave like that. And so I lost a couple of friendships along the way, but that's not really it's not really that deep for me, because after all, when I want to go out, I'm like, Mom, do you want to go to the mall, have a coffee, I don't know, look at some clothes? She's like, yeah, sure, why not? And then we go there, we have a lot of fun, we drink a coffee, we eat sometimes at KFC, whatever, have a bite to eat, and just, yeah, just yap and enjoy our time. And that's a big, big thing that I learned. So also, I took a lot of stress out of my family last year when exams happened, and that's really not a good thing. And I know it sounds easier than done, but just try and don't take out your stress on other people. It's not worth it. It's gonna bite you in the ass in the end. So yeah, just don't. So, guys, these were my 5 points that I learned personally in high school. Obviously, I learned way more, but if I sit here and tell you every single thing I learned in high school, we're not going to be done for a long, long time. But these were my personal things. And yes, I'm pretty sure some of you who are going to high school or went through high school already have a couple of things they learned in high school as well. So I would be very happy if you could share them. If you liked the video, I'd be happy if you'd subscribe and hit the like button. See you next time.